How
Good
are
to
you?
see your face.
So good to see your face. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I'm so excited for us to be hanging out on Instagram Live today. This is really,
I know. I
this,
know. This is great. Are you in the city?
I'm not, I'm in upstate New York. We're in our upstate place hanging out while this is all going on. And I see that you're in your kitchen. So how's it going there with the paint scraping? For everyone who's just signing on, Tara told me this morning that they're having some work done around the house on the outside, and so it could be noisy. So
Yes, I apologize. I banished the pets and the family members upstairs, but the painters are still outside scraping. Right now, we've a brief reprieve, so I'm hopeful that maybe they're done for the day.
awesome.
Apologies in advance.
Well, that's great. Well, as people are kind of popping on, because sometimes it takes a few minutes for that little bubble to come up that we're live, I just want to say thank you for everyone who's tuning in. This is SB Loves. I'm really, really excited to have Tara on here today. We've been friends for years. We originally met through an online workout group, and she has been the ultimate resource for all things health and wellness over the years. She owns Highway to Well, which is a coaching company that does meal planning and a holistic approach to how you get healthy and how you get fit. She also teaches Pilates classes. She is like the one-stop shop for all things health and wellness, and recently released a book called Clean Cocktails, where we can learn how to drink but keep it nice and clean. Lord knows we like to drink right now as we're in quarantine. So I'm so excited to talk.
Amen. Me too. Me too.
So how have you been spending your time? Tell me about your life in quarantine.
Oh boy. Well, I would say for the first 2 weeks, we kind of acted like it was a big snow day, right? And we laid around in our pajamas and maybe got up and brushed our teeth at noon and watched a lot of Netflix. And then we realized that we were in this, longer, I think, than anyone had initially anticipated. And so I've been pivoting, right? Like all other small business owners. You'd mentioned that I'm an owner of a Pilates studio, and we really had to change our business model. So we've been spending the last several weeks doing a lot of live stream videos and virtually training our clients, and creating quite an extensive library of Pilates and Sculpt and TRX videos so that we can reach more people. It's kind of a silver lining. It's afforded us an opportunity to reach more people than we normally could just teaching in our own studio. So I've been doing that with the Pilates piece of my work, and I've transitioned entirely online for my virtual nutritional counseling. Again, it's given me a lot of flexibility that I don't normally have when I was having people to my office. And then this downtime is really giving me time to play in my kitchen and do things that I don't normally get to do. I don't get a lot of time ordinarily to recipe create, so it's given me that opportunity. I invested in a little air fryer, and we're investing a little time in creating some new cocktails for my friends. So I'm trying to just see the silver lining in all of this, that we have more time and do things that we don't normally get to do.
Well, and that's so interesting, right? Because the whole purpose of me starting this online IG series is to continue building the community while we can't be face to face and having those interactions in person. So what you're saying makes total sense about all this, digital content, all the workout videos that you're putting together. I think that that is an amazing use of this time because you're continuing to inspire your network and help them. I mean, that's what we all want, right? We want to lean on each other and grow and still learn something from this whole experience. So what does your routine look like every day? I know you have a family, so you're not just taking care of yourself. So how are you taking the time every day to, eat the right foods, get in that movement, etc.?
So, like I mentioned, in the first 2 weeks, I really just kind of let it all fall apart and almost looked at it like a break from my schedule. And then I realized that you can really go down a rabbit hole pretty quickly, right? You start ordering out too much, drinking too much wine at night because you don't have to get up as early in the morning. So I realized that in this period of time where we are all feeling so out of control, that there was a lot of comfort in coming back to a routine. And so I have gotten back into writing my schedule down, blocking out my time hour by hour, everything. You'll laugh, but everything down from making sure that I take a shower and like put on real clothes first thing in the morning, because that changes my attitude if I'm actually wearing real clothes as opposed to hanging out in my pajamas.
Right.
And then, you know, there's time spent homeschooling and helping my son navigate whatever he needs to do that day on his Zoom calls. And then I set aside time for my workouts. I set aside time for working at the Pilates studio and then the nutrition piece. And I try to schedule just family time. And everything might not happen when it is scheduled to happen, but it all happens in a day for the most part. If it's written down, I've made an appointment
Yes.
myself, and I'm that much more likely, I'm just so much more productive if I create that daily schedule.
Totally. So in terms of what you are meal prepping these days, what's on the grocery list in your household right now? I love hearing this from my health and wellness professionals because it's like, you know, I go into the store and I try to have tunnel vision and stick to the produce and the healthy protein, and then all of a sudden I'm coming home with buckets of potato chips and cookies and all that.
I know. I know. I always tell my clients, do try to stick to the perimeter of the store, right? Because that's where all of the healthy things are. Look, I'll be completely honest. There are nights where we're ordering in and the guys are not eating healthy. They're, you know, ordering French fries with, you know, chicken sandwiches loaded up with stuff. But what we are trying to do is find that balance and make sure that we are making smarter choices more often than not. So when we go to the grocery store, it's a little hard for my family because I'm a vegetarian. I do eat fish, but I don't eat any other animal protein. And my son and my husband are big meat eaters.
Yeah.
So I try and keep it as basic as possible. I try and load up on all of the produce, all of the vegetables, some fruits, you know, berries and apples and things that I know that my son will eat, some citrus for juicing. And then I'll just get a couple of basic lean animal proteins. We'll make sheet pans of vegetables and I'll roast them. And that way my, you know, eggplant, zucchini, onion, peppers, tomatoes, little cherry tomatoes, anything that you can think of. And then that way my son can pick at whatever he wants and leave the rest. And, you know, it's just easy to make. And then we'll just throw the rest on a grill.
Yeah. Keep it
And
lean.
like I said, this air fryer, I'm about to get a little, you know, funky with my air fryer. So I'm going to try and make some fried catfish this weekend.
Ooh, fancy. I love my
Yeah, if it works out, I'll pass along that recipe.
Yeah, and by the way, for anyone tuning in, you do post recipes on your Instagram from time to time. So definitely take a scroll and look through because there's lots of good inspirational meals on there. So let's talk about movement for a second. So as I mentioned earlier, we met through an online workout group almost a decade ago, which is so crazy. Where we were clocking in our workouts and we were doing the Tracy Anderson method obsessively. Some of us still are. But my question is, so, you know, we're home now. Some of us have always worked from home and some of us haven't. Of course, we're all trying to get in a little bit of movement every day. But how are you managing that, especially here in the Northeast where the weather hasn't been that great lately? And you still want to get outside, you want to take a walk, you want to get some cardio in. Obviously, weight training is challenging when you're in your own house. So what do you recommend for your clients in terms of movement?
Well, the one thing that I have been doing is, like I said, I've been scheduling my workout every day. More so from a stress relief standpoint, I think we really need it right now, and we really need the movement to boost our immunity and just to stay healthy and to stay just engaged in our mind, like that mind-body connection. Because again, it's a rabbit hole, these long days that just wander one into the next. So I think it's really important to try and set aside time every day to get in that one really good workout. Right now, we're afforded these great opportunities to work out online with so many different businesses. I'll keep my own Pilates studio. Like I said, we have all of these great virtual live stream classes and then videos that you can rent on your own time. Half the time they're not even an hour. We have express classes. We do have the full hour classes, but there's just so much out there that you can take advantage of right now. I think it's also really important for people to remember that in order to get the benefits of exercise, it doesn't always have to be one long, intense workout at Orange Theory, right? I mean, there are benefits to just taking that walk, you know, bundle up, take your dog for a walk, get some vitamin D outside on the few sunny days that we've had. Um, Even though, you know, we're sitting a lot of times because we're working all day long, get up every hour and a half, and do 10 minutes of something. Do some like free weights for your arms. You know, go back to work, get up another hour and a half later, do some ab work, do some plank work. You'd be shocked how much more you can fit in when you break it up in these little chunks of time. And I also think that mentally we really absorb more and focus more when we step away and take little breaks, especially when you're moving your body, right? It's like kids needing to transition between classes, getting that little break, and then they can sit down and refocus. I think it's easier to look at fitness that way as opposed to just always trying to commit to that hour a day.
Oh, for sure, because it's so daunting, especially now that time is like an illusion. There are days where I'm like, oh, I should really get a workout in, but I don't feel like committing the time. So that's really good advice. I'm going to try doing that and breaking it up 10 minutes every couple hours. It's
Just
probably,
get up and do arms, right? Google an arm video and just do that. And sometimes you just start to feel better and you're like, you know what, I'm going to add on maybe an abs section or something like that. But get your body moving, and then sometimes you want to continue moving.
yeah, for sure. And then you mentioned that exercise obviously helps us to build immunity. I know that that is a really hot topic right now as things are starting to open up in so many states, and we're going to be out and about going back to some sort of normalcy, which is terrifying, but that's a whole other thing. So what can we be eating and drinking and doing to make sure that we're in fighting form with our immune systems?
Well, a couple of things that I always make sure that we have in our house. I always want my family to be taking a probiotic of some kind. That is what's going to protect the good bacteria in your gut, and keep your digestive system nice and healthy. So I personally like the Ultimate Flora brand that I keep in the refrigerator. But it's important to know that you can take a probiotic all the time. You don't have to wait until you're on antibiotics in order to take one. Another thing that I like to keep in the house is bone broth. It's super nourishing, and it's really good for inflammation in the body. And it's believed to provide respiratory support and help you prevent upper respiratory infections. So when we are at risk with this COVID-19 of, you know, having our lungs impaired, I certainly think that that's a good thing to have on hand. You can drink it just, you know, straight, or you can make soup with it. And a lot of places sell it now. So, and then elderberry is something that I always have on hand. It's really high in vitamins A, B, and C. You can find gummies. You can find elderberry syrups. And it's believed to be antiviral. I think the science is still sort of questionable on that, but it definitely boosts immunity.
Okay.
So anything elderberry, I'm a fan of.
That's really cool. I wouldn't even know where to find elderberry if I were looking for it. Is
So
that
there's actually some really, yeah, actual elderberries. Our acupuncturist at Align makes it, and she makes it with honey. And you just take, I think it takes a while to cook down the elderberries, and you take like a couple of teaspoons a day. What I do know is that anytime I'm sick, I take this particular elderberry syrup, and I swear that it holds off any cold or any illness that I feel coming on.
that's
So
awesome.
if it's a placebo effect or not, I don't think it is, but I'll take it. It works for me.
I love the idea of also finding all these like natural remedies and things that we can do that are preventative versus waiting until, as you said, like you don't have to take probiotic just because you're on antibiotics, which is something that I'm guilty of. Anytime I've ever had to take antibiotics, I'm like, oh, I should counteract that. But it makes total sense that I should be taking it continuously because it's doing so much for your gut health. So
Yeah, just preventative medicine. It's kind of like eating healthy, you know, all year round, not waiting until you're sick to make a change.
yeah, totally. And so switching gears a little bit, Clean Cocktails, such an amazing book. It's, by the way, everyone, it is beautiful as it is informative.
Thank you. Can I show it?
Yeah.
Well, to show a picture of the drink I'm going to make today. This is the cover. It's been out for a couple of years now, but I still get excited about it.
Well, you should, of course. And it's a lasting book because we all want to learn how to be better bartenders and to make delicious things. So
Yeah.
like the gift that keeps giving. But what inspired you originally to start being a clean mixologist?
All right. Well, my dear friend and co-author Beth Neidick we actually had just met, and she came to me and said, I really want to partner with you on something. I think we should write a book. And I think if this was her idea, I think we should do a book on, create a book around clean cocktails. And it made a lot of sense to me at the time because I was doing my nutritional counseling, and a lot of the men and women that I was working with, have very healthy social lives, and they go out a lot, and wanted to know, if I'm eating clean with you, does this mean that I can never have a cocktail or drink again, or do I have to abstain entirely? So I started looking into it and started recommending, basic fruit juices with tequila or vodka or other low sugar spirits. So it really made a lot of sense and really resonated with me when Beth came to me with this idea. She was doing something similar and having very similar experiences with her clients. And it just didn't seem like there was anything else that was out there that was quite like this book. And when we started to put it together, I did have a couple of people say, don't you feel that it's wrong somehow, that you're a health coach and you are promoting alcohol or drinking alcohol? And at first I thought, well, gosh, we really need to think about that. And then I realized that the reality was that a lot of people are still going to drink, right? Yeah. Not condoning binge drinking or drinking excessively at all. But if you are going to drink, why not give someone options that are healthier, that are more flavorful, that are made with whole foods, gentle sweeteners, and fresh herbs and spices, as opposed to something that's coming in a bottle that has additives and loads of extra sugar. So we decided that it was a great idea, and we were fortunate that our agent and publisher agreed. And yeah.
I love that. It's so
Thank you.
And it's absolutely true. I mean, everything in moderation, right? If we're going to have a drink, we could have this super sugary, kind of nasty mixed drink, or we can have something that's light and fresh and actually has some vitamins and nourishing ingredients. So I love that idea. And I know today we're making the day drinker, which is so appropriate since it's midday here on the East Coast, Upper East Coast. And it has all these great fresh ingredients. So talk us through what's in the day drinker. And by the way, anyone who's tuning in, I also posted this recipe to the Instagram stories linking back to the book. So when we are done with our chat, you can totally go and pick up the book, make the day drinker on your own. But tell us about the ingredients. What are we in for?
Okay, so we are working with fresh squeezed grapefruit juice. Okay, this is quite a bit, but we're going to use about 2 ounces. I'm just making a drink for one today. I have 2 ounces of gin, which is my co-author Beth's favorite. I personally think that this drink also works with vodka, but today we're working with gin. I have pieces of fresh lemon. Let's see if you can see this. I've got some fresh lemon cut up, and then I have some sage torn in pieces, and I'll explain how we make this in a second. And then I just have about a half of a teaspoon of coconut sugar.
Okay.
So that's all. It's 1, 2, 4, 5 ingredients. That's it. Okay. So what we're going to start with is muddling. And what I have here is, oops, you know what? I need the top. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, and while she's having it up, can I just say that all of those simple ingredients, the nice thing about is find all of those ingredients in your store. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing that you have to go to like 5 different specialty health food stores to find. These are all simple ingredients that you can obtain like at any grocery store.
Exactly. And that was really important to us. Beth and I really wanted you to be able to, if you had friends pop by, we wanted you to feel like you had enough in your refrigerator or in your pantry to throw something together that was really delicious. So again, all of these ingredients, you might not have sage, but you could work with mint. you know? And part of the idea behind the book was to give you permission to just sort of play with whatever you have in your refrigerator. There is no right or wrong, right? So, okay, I needed to get the cap to my cobbler shaker because this would have been everywhere. So the cobbler shaker, it just has, I don't know if you can see, but it has its own strainer. And for me, less is more, less that I have to wash at the end of the day, the happier I am. So we're going to start with muddling. There are different types of muddlers, but this is just sort of the old standard wooden muddler. I am going to, a muddler is used to break down either fruits or herbs and really help extract the flavors and the juices from them. So I'm actually going to start muddling the fruit first. I'm just going to use about a half of a lemon. When you're muddling fruit, you need to really put a little elbow grease into it so that you can really extract the juice, but also the oils from the skin, because that actually gives you a lot of flavor. So you're just going to press down maybe about 5 times, 6 times.
And question for you, if you don't have a muddler at home, can you use the end of like a wooden mixing spoon for this?
Oh, I've muddled with everything. I've muddled with the end of a rolling pin in someone's house.
Love it.
I've muddled with knives, you know, just improvise, right? Yeah. I'm being particular because it's a cocktail book, but you can improvise with whatever you have. Just make sure to wash it off first. Okay, so now you're not going to be able to see it, but there's juice and lots of oils in there. I'm sorry, not pulverizing, muddling herbs. You want to make sure that you don't pulverize, because the more that you muddle an herb, they're so delicate, they become bitter, right? So a lot of the flavor is in the little veins. So I've got 3 pieces of sage here that I'm going to toss in. I broke them in 2 just to extract a little bit of the flavor. And then I have this half teaspoon of the coconut sugar. And I'm also going to add that into the shaker just because that's going to combat that bitterness that can come through in the herb. Again, you're going to take your muddler, but this time nice and light. It doesn't take much. Just a couple of little twists.
Yeah.
All right, now pretend I have ice in this. I'm out of ice except for the cute little ice pieces that I'm going to put in our mason jar in a moment. This is our gin, so that's might be a little bit more than 2 ounces. Don't judge me. And then we're just going to put this as fresh squeezed grape juice. So you can use concentrate, but it sort of defeats purpose because then you have all of these added sugars and it doesn't taste as good. So this is fresh squeezed, and I did it beforehand just to save time. So let's say we've got 2 ounces here. All right, so going to take your shaker, make sure that that lid is on tight, and you're going to press down with it. And there's really no right or wrong way to shake. But what you want to do is wait until the bottom of your shaker starts to get cold, because that's when you know that it's getting chilled. Okay, give me 1 more second. Let me get out the ice cubes I made.
I love this. I feel like my mouth is watering. I wish that I had the ingredients here. So I'm going to have to add this all to the list.
So there are really cute, sorry, I just scared the cat. Really cute little ice cube trays. This one probably didn't work, so we're not going to use it. But I love for bourbon to use the ice cubes that are round. They look so pretty in a rocks glass. And now it's all about the way it looks as well. So you're going to take off the top. If I can get this off here. And this happens a lot too.
Yeah.
That is the downside of the cobbler. There we go. Of the cobbler shaker.
Have learned.
So you have a little bit of ice in there to make it look festive. And then I would just take a little lemon and a little piece of sage. Just drape that aside.
Amazing. Gorgeous.
And that's what it looks like.
And that's it. Oh, I'm so jealous. I can't wait to make this. Everyone at home is like, when is my next grocery store run? I need be making this immediately.
It's really good.
And so what kind of, if we were to make that, let's say tonight, what would you recommend? Because it's a nice fruity cocktail to accompany that in terms of, appetizers or something to eat for dinner.
I would just keep it light. Maybe a piece of fish or a piece of grilled chicken, over some romaine or some nice salad greens. Nothing that's over, nothing that's heavy, nothing that's cooked. Keep it nice and raw on the palate, a little bit neutral.
Sounds so good. Well, thank you for that demo. We'll all be making
Of
that.
course.
So to kind of wrap up our conversation and switch gears a little bit away from cocktails and delicious food, even though I could talk about that all day long, but I have this bucket list going, and this is a question I've asked on every episode of SB Loves because it's my quarantine bucket. So when this is all over, the things that I'm looking forward to the most, and they are small things like having a cocktail with girlfriends, and then much, much larger things like taking trips to Europe. So what are you dreaming about these days? What's on your bucket list for when you're let out again?
Okay, so small things, just being able to give my friends a hug again. Didn't realize how much I missed that until I saw a few of them last week and wasn't able to get very close to them.
Yeah.
I really miss the city. I really miss New York City. I would love to go to a museum with my husband, possibly with my son, and then go to just a great dinner somewhere in the city at one of those restaurants that's been closed for far too long. Um, and Italy. I just one day soon I want to go back to Italy. I love it there, and the thought of them struggling as much as they have as well, like it just makes me want to just check in on it. I know that sounds silly, but it's my favorite. It's my favorite place to be. So those are bucket lists, but there's the list is long.
I know. The list is long. And you know what I've been doing? I'm not much of a journaler, but I have been writing these things down because I want to look back at it later and be able to say, oh, I actually did go to that museum exhibit and I did do this and I did do that. I saw a comment that just came in, don't think restaurants are coming back too soon.
I know.
But let's hope that we can continue supporting them by having takeout, once a week, going to your local restaurants and seeing what you can do to help support them so that we all survive this and can come out on the other side, because it would just be so sad if we didn't have restaurants. And hey, Val, I see a mutual friend of ours is on here too. Um, and what about the Highway to Well Empire? I mean, I see that you are pivoting and that you are doing so many things digitally and you're coming up with all this great new content. So what can we expect to see in the next year or two from the Highway to Well?
Well, I have added some smaller nutritional counseling sessions to my list of services because even though we have all of this time stuck at home and the day seems very long, a lot of us really don't have that much time because we're now adding in teacher and personal chef to our daily work. So I wanted people that be able to at least have set aside like a half an hour for themselves to hop online and work with me just to kind of reset and give themselves a little bit of self-care, work through some bad habits that they've developed during this quarantine, and just get a little bit of perspective again on what they need to be doing to take care of themselves. So those half-hour sessions are now part of my service, and they're going to stay on because I think that that's like a nice piece of time that people can feel good about affording themselves and not feel guilty about. Beth and I are working on a new book. It's going to have more clean cocktails, but it's going to have a lot of food pairing with it. And it's going to be focusing on formal holidays and community and really cooking with an eye towards having something for everyone on at your table.
Oh my God, I love that.
Different needs, right?
That is such an amazing idea because as the vegetarian in my family, I grew up eating the side dishes if there was a side dish to eat. And I had, hardworking parents who definitely did their best, but I love the idea of putting something out there where there is something for everyone, especially now that everybody is on some sort of plan. You know, it's like low carb, low fat, vegetarian, vegan, gluten free. I
Gluten
mean,
free.
the list.
Yes.
In my family alone, we've got one of everything. So
Yeah.
I
And it's
love
really
that.
overwhelming for people to provide a meal and to entertain when we do have such diverse tastes. So yeah, we thought it would be great to come up with some menus and make entertaining for a group a little bit easier. And again, the focus is also just going to be on community, and which I think is going to be very timely by the time that this is done. The quarantine is done. Hopefully, you know, the book will come out long after that. We've got a long way to go. But I think it's important to remember that community is what it's really all about.
Yes. Well, you've given us something to look forward to. So thanks for that. I
Thank
definitely, by the way, I definitely feel like after this quarantine, you know, of course, we want to support our restaurants and get back into the world, but we're going to be doing so much more gathering at home and entertaining in our own homes with the few people who we love and who are closest to us. I think that that is definitely going to be the new wave of socializing after this.
you.
And so I love the idea that we can all, you know, with your first book, learn how to make better cocktails, cleaner cocktails. And then, you know, when you put this out, eventually it's going to be really exciting to have a new book to cook from when we do gather as communal, you know, family situations and with our friends. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, you know, you raise a really good point. I do hope again that that's one of those silver linings, right? Where we all realize what's important during this experience, and we do just focus on like coming together again, whether it's big groups or small groups, and just making time for each other, putting down the phones, putting down the computers, putting work aside, and just doing the things that really fill us up and give us joy with the people who give us joy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tara, thank you so, so much for coming on SB Loves. Everyone on here, definitely go check out her account, Highway to Well, and follow along for all that she's up to. The recipe for the Day Drinker is posted in both of our IG stories, so you can check that out. It's also linked back to the cookbook so that you can shop and purchase it if you want to get really into becoming a master mixologist like Tara is. And thank you so much for joining us. So good to see your face.
Thank you for having me. It's so good to see yours. Be healthy.
You too, and stay safe. Thanks everyone for tuning in.